Hey everybody, it's Cindy here, and it's time for another Life Makeovers episode. And today I want to wrap up a really great conversation I had with Kathy Pryor. Kathy is a recently retired person who is 65 years old, married, several children, grandchildren, living life in Kansas here near me, and we've been friends for the last 5, 6 years. Anyway, one of the things she talked about was because she worked at the University of Kansas for 40 years, over 40 years, I believe, and spent a lot of time, obviously, with young adults. And she talked about, wishing that young adult women knew the things that we learn in midlife and beyond, especially in terms of feeling empowered, finding their voices, trusting their instincts and their perceptions about the world, and spending less time worrying about what other people think and or how they should be serving others or whatever. And I thought that was such a poignant conversation. And what I have found is that many of you in midlife are working on those things as well, like just now getting to the point in your lives where you're starting to find your voice and feel really empowered and step into your own most authentic self and feeling confident. And that is such an important thing for all of us to reach at whatever stage. And so that's what my coaching programs are all about, is for you to learn how to build your confidence, get clear about what you want in your life, and then incorporate the mindsets and skill sets and success strategies that you're going to need to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And she talked about needing to learn ways to nurture ourselves so we can really grow spiritually. That so much of focus in American life, especially, is on, building wealth, materialism, success in whatever terms. But she talked about the spiritual journey and really having a foundation of a groundedness in your own spiritual beliefs or understandings, and also to grow in our emotional competency, which I really appreciated. So we talked a lot about emotional intelligence and how most of us were raised with a very simplistic emotional language. Well, I'm either sad, I'm mad, or I'm glad. And some people really get stuck there and move into adulthood and even the midlife years and later without a much more of an extended vocabulary for what they're feeling and experiencing. And we talked about that and how important it is to really, tap into what's happening with ourselves emotionally, no matter how it looks on the outside. And so an example of that is if you're feeling reactive and you think you're angry because maybe you're screaming at somebody that you love. Actually, I challenge you to look a little deeper, a layer deeper, and find out, what are you upset about? What are you depressed about? What are you feeling that's not just anger? Is there a sadness underneath all of that? Is there a frustration or a disappointment? Is there loneliness? What do you really need? Find out what you really, really need by what's really going on. And she talked about balance in her life and how that has changed over the years, over the decades, and now with the freedom of retirement, to also needing to have found her equilibrium, that it was very disorienting to go from a full-time job on top of everything else she's involved with in life to finding her new balance without that major daily commitment anymore. And as she recalled, watching the older women in her lives, earlier in her younger years, she had two major role models, and that was her Aunt Jane and Lucille Ball. And she talked about how they both were independent women with great senses of humor, and they lived in gratitude and were very, very present. And so that's how she has intentionally worked on living in her life. And another approach that she has is to pick one thing at a time and work on it, work hard on it to improve within herself or whatever. And she talked about one time that was her focus was to really learn how to live in gratitude. And we all know the benefits of gratitude, or if you don't, I've spoken about this many times, can really make your life better physically, emotionally. Stress levels go down. You'll be carrying a much higher vibration and just feel better in your life the more you find to appreciate. And for some reason, the law of circulation or other universal law says that the more we appreciate, the more we are given to be appreciative of. And so it was a really great, I loved her idea of picking one thing that she knew she wanted to grow in and just really focusing on it until she developed it, one thing at a time. Because I find myself going, okay, I need to change this, I need to change that, I need to change this. I don't know if you guys have a laundry list of changes you want to make or not, but I thought the intentional focus on one thing was quite a great suggestion. So thank you, Kathy. And we talked about marriage too. She's been married a few times and had two really quite short marriages in her 20s, and then has been with her current husband for, I believe she said 37 years. And so I asked her, what's the secret? And she said, to really focus on being kind rather than worrying about being right, and to give up competition within the relationship, use a lot of humor, blend your families well. If you're in their situation where they both had children with other people, they both had, relationships before, and ended up blending their families very, very well. And on that end, we did enter that discussion for all you blended families out there and for all of you stepmothers out there and so forth. We talked about that role, how to navigate that, what works well, what kinds of things we found that have been helpful. And she said, she pointed out that it takes a while for kids to trust a new parental figure in their lives, and that they don't really know at first if there's going to be unconditional love for them, as there often is from their biological parents, and to really nurture that and take time, but also to have boundaries in the relationships. And so it's just a real interesting relationship to attempt to build and grow. And I think for most people, there's patience that's required. And she helped raise their blended family. And I was saying how, I've come into a family when the kids were already all grown and mine were all grown. And that's a different situation because I don't need to discipline them. I don't need to help raise them. They're already raised. And, it's a different thing. But yet it's still, it's important to be diligent and consistent if you really want to have a good, healthy relationship with the kids of the person you love. And it's worth the work, it's worth the work, it's worth the effort. I find that how you treat other people is generally how they're going to treat you. So if I'm respectful to them, they're very respectful to me. And I love them, but yet I don't try to pretend to be their mother. They have a mother, but yet I'm nurturing and maternal, very nurturing and caring in their lives, or that's what I'm hoping I'm doing. That's what my intentions are. And there's that word again. We talked about intention a lot, living intentionally, really creating a vision for how you want to be, who you want to be, what you want your life to look like, and being intentional about it. And then we really wrapped it up with circling back around to the importance of a spiritual life, whatever that means to you. For her, she said it means that there's something bigger than herself, that is God the good, and that we are all a piece of God, and so forth. I think she used the metaphor that if God's the ocean, we're the waves, or something like that. But anyway, she shared how she feels that we're a part of something bigger, and that things happen to get us where we need to go. Even the things that we don't like, the things that we resist, the things that look tragic and awful to us, that's actually, part of a grander design of getting us where we need to go, or helping us learn or move forward in a way that's going to be best for our lives. And for sure, I'm sure some of you are out there thinking, oh, yeah, that's just great. Now we're going to doll up some of the hardest things we've ever been through. And it's not to try to sugarcoat it, deny any of the pain or the frustrations or the stresses that you've experienced. Not at all, not in the least. However, when you have a spiritual foundation or a religious foundation, whatever you want to call it, when you have things you strongly believe that help you to navigate the tough times with that hope out in front of you that something better is coming, or that this can be healed, or this event that we don't like can be reconstrued into something that brings something that feels very positive into your world or the world. When you can have that and grasp onto it and cling to it in your worst of times, then life will get easier. Life will be easier for you. So that, I think, is what's important to take from that. So anyway, it was a powerful conversation. I am grateful. Thank you so much again, Kathy Pryor, for being with me. And thank you, the listeners. Please keep coming back for more. There's just going to be conversation after conversation, and maybe some surprises along the way of different kinds of podcasts you're not expecting. Just really looking forward to sharing you in all kinds of ways. And if I can be of further service to you, please go to cindydwhitmer.com, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.